Starting over. Okay, here we are, back.
So the second part.
Yeah, so the second part, the second part, you'll start talking about light and shadow. And so the four art elements, the kids should all know: color, line, texture, and light and shadow. And usually the kids bring up light and shadow like right off the bat. Okay. So light and shadow, we'll talk about light and shadow, and how sunrise, when we're talking about sunrise and stuff, how there's light and shadow. But the big thing that they want you to do, I forgot my flashlight. So they have you talk about light. So in the morning, does the grass look different? Does the color of the grass look different than it does like at lunchtime or than it does in the evening? And so they want to get across the point that color is different in different light. So depending on the light, the color is different. Now, one of the things they want you to do is to take a flashlight and show it to somebody's hair. Because you can see, like for my hair, I'd probably use my own hair. For my hair, if you put a flashlight in it, you can see all the highlights. The majority of the kid, like you want to get a kid that has like bright red hair or has a lot of variety of color in their hair. And because our population is mostly Indian, you'll have a lot of darker hair, but a lot of the kids like might have like light, or, you know, a little bit of light in their hair. So if you have brown hair, but you've got like little highlights, it's just harder. I was trying it with my neighbor, and she has dark hair, and you can't see the light in it. So you'll want to look for somebody in the room that has like varied color. It doesn't matter really what color it is, as long as there's some variance, and then you can show that. And so that you'll see that when you have it playing, as opposed to putting the flashlight in it, you'll see all the color with the flashlight. And then they'll have you, so then you look around the room at the colors that the kids are wearing, and you can have them point out, okay, somebody's wearing he's wearing bright red, and somebody's pink and yellow. So look at the colors now, and then you'll turn off the light. And the way the colors look when the light is off changes it. It grays everything down. And so they want to get that point across that when colors are muted, that light and shadow, when things are in shadow, they're going to be kind of a grayer color. And so, and then it actually goes into, so I have these, where are they? Right here. These, I'm going to probably reproduce these because both of these are really hammered. But it talks about when you have light and shadow. So if you had the Grand Canyon here, so you're looking at the Grand Canyon and the detail of the Grand Canyon. If you have it behind something that is transparent, this is transparent like a window, right? So can you see all the detail through that? Yeah, so in this you would be able to see the real detail. And so I would actually take these pictures. When I make it a little bit bigger, I'm going to put it on a bigger mat board so that the window opening is bigger so that the kids can see better. So you can see all the details. And so then you have them look around the room and see, okay, is there anything in this room that's transparent? And sometimes you'll see like, you know, there might be a glass ball or there might be something that you can see right through. But you can point to the windows and say, see, these are transparent. Then you have things that are translucent. So you can see the light through, but can you see the details really well? No, you can kind of see outlines of things. You can see that there are clouds, and you know, you can see the same thing, but
not the fine details.
Yeah, you don't see the fine details. And so that's what translucent, you'll see light through it, like a curtain. So if there's curtains or if there's anything, you know, like that, that's good. And then what about this one, opaque? Can you see? And you can't. So this actually, you can, you know, if you opened up the curtain or whatever, or if you opened up, but opaque means you can't see anything through it. And then you'll ask the kids, is there anything in the room that's opaque? And everything. And if they don't get that, you'll say, okay, pick it, you know, you'll have some kid come to it. Now, can you see through their head? No, it's opaque. Right. So everything in the room, really, the walls, the door, they're all opaque. So they want you to get that sense of what is transparent, translucent, and opaque. I know, this is so boring. Okay, and so then so light and shadow for Andrew Wyeth, it was a huge thing for him. He used a lot of light and shadow in it, And so, do you know what a family tree is? Do you know what a family tree? So I'm going to show you a family tree. Well, actually, so Andrew Wyeth's family, he had a lot. So just like Faraday Graffé, he had all these musicians in his family. Andrew Wyeth actually had a bunch of artists in his family, really amazing artists in his family. And so what do you think a family tree is? Do you think it's a tree that grows in the ground outside your house, where your family sits under it? No. So this is the family tree. I think this must have been the old handout.
Oh, okay.
It's not the same as the one in the book.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to reproduce the one in the book. I think I like it better, and I'll put it on that board. I was going to try to do it before today, but I didn't have enough time. So it talks about, so N.C. Wyeth was his dad, Carolyn was his mom, and actually her name's spelled wrong there. But these are his parents, and they had Henriette, Nathaniel, Andrew and Betsy, Carolyn, and Anne. And actually, Andrew's the baby, so this isn't depicted very well either.
Oh, okay.
Anne and Carolyn were both artists, amazing artists. Okay. N.C. Wyeth was a famous illustrator. He became actually like very famous. He was a celebrity. He was a really famous illustrator. Here's one of his illustrations. That kind of look. He did a lot of watercolor and oil, but he illustrated books. Oh. And so he was really famous by the time he died. So N.C. Wyeth was his dad, and then his two sisters, Anne and Carolyn, were famous artists, and they never, she did get married. Henriette was a famous musician, and her husband, Peter, was a famous watercolorist. So she was a musician, her husband was a famous artist, and then Nathaniel was a scientist, and Andrew ended up following along with his dad. You know, he ended up becoming a famous, and he became the most famous artist in the family. But he was just like his dad. He was actually sick all the time when he was a little kid, and so the other kids in his family went to school, but he stayed home. He was homeschooled, kind of, and he ended up in his dad's studio all the time, watching his dad paint. His dad would do things like he would set this up, and he'd have models holding big swords, and they'd be in costumes and stuff, and he'd be in the studio watching his dad paint these things. And so he had lots of props. His studio was really big. His dad was he was a fun guy, but he was very controlling and stuff. And apparently when he was, it's really tragic, but his dad actually died fairly young. He and his nephew, his 4-year-old nephew, were on a train track. They were in the car, and they got stuck on a train track and ended up getting hit by a train. It was a tragic accident, how his dad died, and that it really influenced Andrew when that happened. It was really heartbreaking. And Andrew was already married by that time, but he got married very young. But when he was young, they did a lot of art projects as a family. They were really close-knit, the 5 kids. They were all really close. They would make their Christmas cards for the family. They did a lot of fun things. So he as an artist, he's from New England, and all of his art is all regional. It's all from that area. So you can tell everything that he produced is scenes or people from that area, from Maine or Pennsylvania, where he grew up. And he was a very private person. He lived to be 91 years old, but he never let anybody watch him paint until the very end of his life. I watched a documentary. The very first time he ever let anyone watch him, even draw. He wasn't painting, but he was drawing. They recorded like 3 minutes of him drawing somebody. And so that was the only time in all of his life that he let anyone ever watch him. He said it was a very private thing. And let's see. I already talked about all of that. He started illustrating books when he was 12. So he was doing artwork very, very young. He did an exhibit when he was 19. He did 30 watercolors when he was 19, and they were very popular. But then he did a one-man show where he was selling his art, and he was 20, and all of the art sold immediately. That day, it sold out the very first day of these shows. So it was really, he was very successful right off the bat. He was 21 when he married Betsy James. She was 18, he was 21. It was in 1940 he married her. and they had 2 kids, Nicholas and Jamie. Nicholas is an art dealer, and I think he's still alive. And then Jamie is a famous artist. So he has one son who's an art dealer, and then the one other son is a famous artist. This is one of his Jamie's paintings. He's more colorful than his dad. You can notice when we start looking at Andrew's work that his colors are a lot more muted. He uses a lot of white and a lot of browns, earth tones. Everything's a lot darker. And he was an interesting guy. So his dad wanted him to work in oil paints, and he didn't want to work in oil paints. So he did watercolor, and he did a special dry brush technique, but then he also used egg tempera, and we'll talk about that later. When we use our paints, the paint that we use here, the cheap paint, is tempera paint. But his egg tempera paint that he used was very unique, and it was really very popular during medieval times and Renaissance times. People don't use egg tempera now, but he really liked the way it worked. So, and we can talk a little bit about that. But it dries really fast because it's egg, and it actually the yolk you use the egg yolk, and then you add pigment to it. So he had to mix all of his paints himself. He would mix the different colors, and then because of the egg, it would be glossy. And then he could do layers, dries really fast, and you can do layers in the fine detail. So that's why we'll see there's a lot of really fine detail in his tempera paintings. The watercolor is not quite as detailed, but it's still detailed. He used a dry brush technique with the watercolor where you squeeze all the water and there's just a little bit of color on the brush, and he used really fine. So he always did fine detail. He's a very realistic artist. And so, let's see, and it actually has you talk about him for a really long time before you go turn around the painting. So the painting that we're focusing on, and so you can decide how you want to do so this is the painting that his style is very realistic, but if you look at, so what's the main color in this painting? Is it bright red? No. This is the color palette he used. Almost all his paintings have this really muted color palette. And in fact, his dad was like, "You're never going to sell any paintings if you don't put some more color in your paintings." But he was very realistic, and he liked to paint just the essence, so that you had to think about what this person. So for this, it's called chambered nautilus, and you're thinking in your mind, okay, what is she thinking? Trying to put, he made it realistic, but he wanted you to think more about the object, that the object wasn't the only part of the painting. And so if you look at this painting, what are the details in this painting that give you an idea about who this is? Do you think what's that? Can you see? It's a basket, and it has some books and magazines in it. And it actually, right here, can you see what that is? That's a shell. So this is actually a chambered nautilus shell. That's the shell. But the way he painted it is this is her whole world. So a chambered nautilus is actually, this is what a chambered nautilus looks like. This is a cross section of a chambered nautilus. And so what happens is when the animal, the sea animal, is really small, it is in that first chamber, and it actually builds a wall there. And then when it gets too big, it moves in, because it's connected, it actually moves out of that and moves into the next section, and then the next section, and it keeps, as it grows, these chambers, they're all connected, but it's able to move into the next section, So it's but it's contained, and so the way, I guess, you can ask the kids, why do you think this is called the chambered nautilus? Why would he call the painting chambered nautilus? Other than the fact that there's a shell there. And then if they can't get the idea that she's, in a bed, in a room, kind of separated in a chamber, the story behind it, this is his mother-in-law that was very sick, and so she never left her bedroom. And so the fact that on her bed she's got a few things and books and things. She's basically in that room. So that was her bedchamber, and she really hardly ever left that room. So that was the whole story behind it. Now, this painting is not his most famous painting. His most famous painting is this one. It's called Christina's World. This is the one that's the most famous, and this is where he became, this is the picture he became famous for. And you can see this is egg tempera. You can see all the detail. The grass is so, yeah, it's very, very detailed. And
is this water paint or this is tempera?
This is egg tempera. So I was at first I wasn't sure, and I was trying to find out each of his paintings, which ones were watercolor, which ones were egg tempera. So this one is egg tempera. And so, but you can see the color palette, like it's barely pink. It's all very subdued tones. And so the light and shadow, you really get a lot of light and shadow. All of his paintings are kind of like that. But she was actually a real focus in his life. She was disabled. She had polio, Christina. And so she would crawl, like she couldn't actually walk. So she had to crawl. And so this doesn't, you don't know that from looking at this painting.
Right.
But he had seen her, he observed her from the house. He observed her out the window crawling across the grass and decided he wanted to paint it. And that's how that became his most famous work. That's actually how he became famous in the first place. But my favorite painting is this one here. It's actually from her room. So she didn't use her upstairs rooms because she was disabled. And so he went upstairs and he painted from scenes from the upstairs of that farm. And this farm now is preserved as a museum. And so Christina's farm, and there's another farm. They're national monuments.
Where is this place?
It's in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
and oh yeah, he's from Pennsylvania. He's New England, yeah. So this is preserved, and the Kerner's farm was another farm. When she died, he ended up going to a different farm, and he did a lot of work from that farm. So he would basically go and spend years and years. The Kerner's farm, he was there for like 70 years doing different work. He didn't live there, he just would paint. And so this one is actually the upstairs room in Christina's house. He saw this window had never been opened, not opened in many, many years. And he actually saw this scene from the window and then waited 7 months to take the picture until the wind was right, so that it blew the curtains in just the right way. And so the detail, so I'll have this matted. The detail on this is really amazing. And this is, so you can see he uses a lot of white. He uses a lot of white in all these pictures, a lot of white in this picture. And it's almost iridescent on the bed. There's a lot of white there, a lot of like light and white. And this, really, to be able to paint those curtains that way, the white is really quite amazing. And so I'd ask you, to ask the kids, how do you think he got so much white? The egg tempera made it so that he could blend that, so that he could layer on top of that and make the white really pop and be iridescent that way. Let me see. I just have to make sure that I show you everything. Let's see. So you can talk as much or as little as you want about the painting. You can go into different things. But then it has you, at the end of it, it has you play Cloudburst. So
that's the 15.
Yeah, so it's number 15. And the Cloudburst, so this is the picture that would illustrate it really well. Cloudburst is, you have to get into the song. I think it's on the third song. Sorry. I mean the third, it's minute 3. So you'd have to, let's see. Oh, no, there it is. I was turning it down. So this is Cloudburst, but you have, in order to get to the part that, so the beginning starts out similar to On the Trail, and it actually has that melody come in a few times. But you have to forward it to, if you have it on your phone, it's a lot easier than doing it on the yeah, it's minute 3, it's like a little bit after 3 minutes. You You can tell, like, at the beginning it's like kind of, but it's starting to get a little bit troublesome.
Yeah.
So what it says, what the lesson has you do is you have 2 students hold up a rod that has curtains on it. So I'm going to see if I can find some kind of lacy curtains like this.
Okay.
And a fan. So we have a fan in the theme room. And so as it's getting, so at first, at the beginning of that music, it would, the fan, you know, you're looking out the window and the window is open. So you would just have, you could have a student doing it too, but you would have, you'd be looking through this window and there's curtains and people are opening the curtains. And now you'll have the fan turned on low and it'll start blowing the curtains. But you can hear there's like thunder and there's lightning and it actually gets more and more. And then it'll blow. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a cloudburst. And that's actually the one that they have you focus on, which is interesting. It's the Grand Canyon Suite, but they want you to talk about the cloudburst for sure.
Okay.
And so they use a lot of different instruments. I mean, that sounds like thunder, doesn't it? Yeah, it's really cool. And that's, you're into it about 4.5 minutes when this gets really loud like that. And it's a 9-minute song, so you can then forward it toward the end. That's the dynamics get really loud, and there's, you know, the wind, and so you can have. So if you don't want to do the art project, you could actually have the kids act out with the window and have them the thunder and everything. So they have a couple of activities that you can do. So that's the end of it, and you can decide if you want to end it that way. It seems. I'm not sure how I'm going to end it. I don't know if I'm going to have the curtains, but it might be fun for the kids to do that. So there are different activities. One of them, so the art activity, the thing they want you to do, they want you to dissolve a whole thing of watercolor in jars of water and have the kids use sponges and do a water wash on watercolor, on paper. But then it has to dry completely, and then they have to put black cutouts on it. And I don't know, first of all, if you did that and you had 3 jars of paint and then you had 30 kids, like, I don't know how you would, how you'd have the sponges work that way. I think if you're going to use watercolor, I'd probably do it the way that we did it in the last lesson. I'd have them, I might give them a sponge to use, and maybe I'd have water for everybody. Like, I have, these water cups are what we used in the last lesson, and I have more of these. So if there's, one for every 2 people, or
2 cups for the.
So sometimes they have tables, but not all of them have tables. I had 3 rooms that didn't have tables; they were in one. So as long as I would probably give 1 cup of water to 2 people. And so then if their water got really messy, they could change out the water. But then they could use their sponge and get water on it, so it's a light wash, and then they could do that if you wanted them to do that. The other activity is it's a ribbon activity where they would act out the music with ribbons. So it's got a dowel and ribbons, and you'd have them do different movements. And so there's that, that was one of, there was a ribbon movement activity. There's also a paper you can. I was going to photocopy, it's the chambered nautilus, and then what she's thinking, and the kids can either draw what they think that she's thinking, or write out what they think that she's thinking. So that's an idea. None of the projects are terribly exciting. The watercolor would probably be the most fun for the kids. But the ribbon activity with the dynamics, for the little kids, I would definitely use the ribbon activity. Because they get excited, especially kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. 3rd graders, they would probably, they've always enjoyed the ribbon activity in the past, but they're going to want the art more than and if you have an hour. And I was tempted to look, I actually did watch a few YouTube videos on different techniques, watercolor techniques. So you could have, one thing that I actually looked pretty fun is you could make a sky, have the sky look a certain way. And this one person had taken tissue, like she had a paper towel. And when you get the blue and it's still a little bit wet, you take the paper towel and you kind of dab it on and it pulls the color off, and it makes clouds. So you could try to make like a cloudy sky. And so it would look like the the storm in the Grand Canyon storm, the cloudburst with sky, and then you could do, like you could try to do something similar to, I don't know how you would, like the dry brush technique would be really hard, but they could take their brush really dry and maybe put some dark browns and greens and try to make grass on the field. So you could do a yellow field, a blue sky, have clouds coming in, and then they could try to do lightning and thunder. You know, they could put some dark clouds in. So, I mean, you could try to do different things with that. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's it. That was the longest lesson ever. I'm so sorry. Anyway, those are ideas.
No, that's really wonderful.